And then there's gossip. You have extended family members, aunts and uncles who are actually throwing their own nieces and nephews under the bus to make their own children look good. There's gossip on such extreme levels. You have your own mother gossiping about someone else's child or someone else's family member. And these kids grow up seeing this. And they're thinking, wait a second, my mother covers, but she's over here gossiping. My aunt prays 5 times a day, but she's over here gossiping. Doesn't make sense. Then there's all these fake relationships where people are just not being honest with each other. There's a lot of backbiting. And then there's that whole role of, become a doctor, become a lawyer. So that's that. Then there's praying and covering because you just grew up that way. You're not covering because for the right reasons. You're not praying for the right reasons. You're just praying it out of just culture. It's routine. It's what you're supposed to do. Again, just a lot of faulty Muslim programming. And then the media doesn't help because that makes it worse. So they're, again, programming us and our youth and ummah with a lot of negativity and making us look very bad. Then you're reading the Quran and you're teaching your kids to read Quran, but they don't know why they're reading it, or you don't even know why you're reading it. So just these are some of the faulty programmings that we have, or we don't know what the reason behind why we are doing what we're doing. Then guilt, another programming method is guilt is used as a guiding force. It's such a big one in Muslim communities. Like, if you don't do this, you are so guilt-ridden because, oh my goodness, you're bringing shame to the family. So you end up developing a lot of resentment and anger and hostility because of all these negative, faulty Muslim programming that you have been trained since you were a little child. Basically, you become robotic, hypnotic, in a hypnotic state out of this programming. So why does this happen? So let's focus on why this happens. So number one, I just do want to tell you that it's because, number one, the culture has had such an effect on Islam because it's because of societal benefits, right? So if whatever society you were living in or whatever country you were living in, your parents were living in, a lot of the religion was used to their own benefit, either towards men or towards the benefits of society. So a lot of things were twisted, and a lot of things were misinterpreted and passed down from generation to generation, and our parents or our grandparents never questioned it because either they didn't have the books, they just went to the local imam and just trusted him full force, and that's it. So that's number one. Okay, that's number one, why that happened. Number two, on a very concrete level, our mothers. As children, they were never seen by their parents. They were never validated, right? So the mother was constantly, the little girl was constantly seeking validation because her own mother was slaving away. So she was in the background, invisible, never getting that validation. The father was never validated himself. He probably had an angry father, or a father that was programmed himself, slaving away, meeting ends, and maybe had anger issues. So what ends up happening is a lot of us develop this codependency. What does codependency mean? It means, again, that we are seeking validation outside of ourselves because we were never seen as children. So we're constantly doing just because we feel like that's the way we have to be in order to have some self-worth. So now what's the solution? What is the solution? So let's just refocus. What happened here? We're talking about how we're losing the ummah because of codependency issues, and number two, because of the faulty Muslim programming, right? That has been affected by the cultural Islam that's been spread all throughout a lot of these Muslim communities. Not real Islam, but the faulty Muslim programming Okay, so how? What's the solution? First of all, number one, we need to get deprogrammed. We need to understand that we've been programmed by our families, our grandparents, by societal needs, societal benefits. Number two, we need to seek knowledge of real Islam. Open up the Quran. Start reading hadiths. Start listening to lectures by credible people, individuals. Seek knowledge. So when you have children, you can pass down the real Islam to them, not the cultural Islam that is so